Okay. Hi, it's me, Jody, and I just wanted to update on what all went on since my last video. And it's the last video I think happened 3 weeks ago, and I'm finally getting to the point where I feel like I'm comfortable continuing talking about my journey. And here's what's gone on. So I didn't really vlog or talk about much on my Instagram. I actually think I'm just gonna stick to YouTube, and I think that's what feels right to me. So that night, after I uploaded my first vlog about being a medium, I went to my first mediumship circle, as I said I was going to. And I was expecting to practice on other people, but for some reason I did not expect to be read. And in a mediumship circle, you practice on other people that are mediums, and then you practice on them. And at first I was just nervous because my side of the circle went first, and then I was just kind of terrified of saying the wrong thing or offending somebody. And thankfully that fear calmed down really quickly when I realized that nobody really gets it right every single time when you're practicing and you're learning. And even when you get out and start reading random people or whoever comes to you, then you're not always gonna interpret it right completely. And so I read the first person, and I saw some things, and she was actually able to relate to quite a bit. And she was a jewelry maker, and I said that I saw jewelry, and this was psychic. It wasn't the mediumship part of it. She goes, yeah, I see, or I know what you're talking about. And I go, okay, well, I see you fiddling with and organizing jewelry. And she goes, well, I make jewelry, and I've been trying to organize, and we try to go further in it. Then I also saw her doing events in a tent, kind of like what I expected for me to do with the bath business. And so that was really validating. And then things flipped for the negative, and then the reading became on me. And my first reading was terrifying because a message that my guides have been telling me over and over and over again, they sent to the person in front of me. And this is how it went down. So the guy, gets kind of a little meditative state, and he's looking in his thing, and then his eyes burst open, and he goes, "Get out." And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he goes, I'm like, what? And he goes, get out. And I go, get out of where? Do I need to leave? And he goes, no, get out of the situation you're in. And I was like, what in the world are you talking about? And then he mentions stuff that I had been thinking that this message meant. And I have not been in a really good mind state, and a lot of it was me trying to figure out to better myself. And it's not a uphill process after you accept something about yourself. And when he told me that message that I've been fearing from my spirit guides all this time, I immediately shut down, and I started crying, and it really touched me. And from there, the mediumship circle just didn't go so well, because the guides just kept on sending me that message through other people. And so I finally took that message really to heart. And I always thought it was get out of my relationship with my husband. And I talked to him, so I'm sure he'll understand. But and I've talked about it to my mom, and my mom interpreted it differently than I thought it was. And I didn't want to leave the situation I am. I didn't want to leave. And so I got home and I talked to him. I said, I'm really shaken up. And we had a really good conversation about it. And basically what it comes down to is relationships take a lot of work. And I haven't been working on myself. And we are in a state that I don't feel like I belong in. And I mentally and physically feel like I'm fed up. And we had a really good conversation. And both him and my mom all agree on what this message kind of means, and that it means that I have to start taking care of myself. It means that we have to get out of this state and do what's best for us, and we actually have to take action instead of just being passive. And what I also realized that week is that I am terrible in interpreting my messages. So out of the clairs, what I have, here's my experiences. I see, no, do I see? I don't see, I'm not clairvoyant like the best. I can see small pictures, and I don't see spirit personally. I see the pictures are trying to communicate with me. So sometimes I see eagles, sometimes I see very small images in my mind. But I am mostly a feeler. I get touched by spirit constantly. I feel their emotions. I take on their illnesses. I've had my heart race when I'm around somebody that had like a heart attack, or a chest pain with somebody that had a heart attack. I take on the emotions and everything like that. And then my other two that are kind of below that is clairaudient, and I can hear spirit sometimes. And I realize that more as of lately, just because I always thought it was myself talking to myself, but I realized that some of those voices are not mine. So I'm in this process of trying to figure out how to interpret the voices in my head and figure out which one's mine and which one's not. Sometimes. And then I also am trying to understand the visions that I get, because the visions are very abstract. And I kind of think that it's because I've always had like a kind of almost like a learning disability. So I kind of feel like it's the same thing, is I've always thought very abstractly, and I interpret abstractly. When somebody else interprets something, a lot of the times they will get something else than I was thinking about. So I'm actually encountering the same kind of problems in my mediumship, and that makes it really hard on me, because I feel like I'm a phony. And something that really got to me is somebody else had mentioned that they felt like a phony when they were going through this process of learning about their gifts and developing them. And I am not giving up. I don't think that I'm a phony. I think I really do have a gift. It's just some days, right now, learning discernment in what is me and what is spirit is really hard, because I'm now more open to it. But at the same time, I feel like now that I'm more open to it, I'm more also open to my thoughts being properly, I'm not really properly interpreted as spirit, and the same around, you know? So that's where I am right now. And then another thing that happened at the mediumship circle was the guy that told me to get out. He told me that I should take a trip for myself. So I went last weekend to Sedona, Flagstaff, all by myself. And I did a lot of fun stuff, and I really explored my spirituality while I was there, because Sedona has vortexes, and there's mediums on every corner, there's psychics on every corner. And then also Flagstaff just looks like home to me, except for with mountains. So I went to Sedona and Flagstaff, and I had a lot of fun all by myself. I kind of took off the mom cloak that I put on a lot of the times, and I'm also learning to take care of myself and stop worrying as much about the people around me, because sometimes I mother them too much, and that's really hard for me to not mother my friends and family. You know, it's my job to mother my daughter, but it's not my job to mother my husband. It's not my job to mother my sister. It's not my job to mother my friends and family. And relinquishing that those worries and those stresses is really hard for me, but at the same time, it's very, very liberating, if that makes sense. And then also just taking my own time to learn about myself and really listen to myself. I also had a dream. I've had a series of dreams, and I actually had a dream that I was with one person and that we were talking back and forth. So I'm also now experiencing dreams that are really, 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 really weird, which I might get into later. But a lot is developing, and I have a lot to talk about. So I'm not really sure where to start, but I figure I'd just start with the mediumship circle and go from there. But I will be going to the mediumship circle either this Monday or next Monday. Again, I honestly think I might go get Reiki done, or Reiki, that my chakras aligned by a Reiki master. And I've already gotten the appointment set up. I might do that before I actually go and to the mediumship circle again, because I feel like I'm not really aligned, and I feel kind of like a mess and emotional wreck, and I've heard that can help a lot. So I've been working on my chakras, but at the same time I feel like I have no knowledge yet. So I'm gonna go get my chakras working progress going, and we'll see from there. If you have any questions, or I really got some amazing supportive comments last time, and everything helps, just everything helps, and I hope this helps somebody out there. So that's it, really. Not much for me. I feel like it's funny because I feel like when I see myself in the camera, or if I see myself in the mirror, I feel like my energy is already just kind of started going up. And since then, even though I don't really trust myself yet of knowing if my gifts are actually real or not sometimes, I really feel like I'm working on myself and I've made some progress. The worst thing is this is not an overnight process, and that's really hard to grasp, that it's not an overnight process. So with that, love, light, healing, I don't know, all that stuff. And I also have something I want to talk about in the weeks coming, about the spirit Eric, and also the medium Jamie. I've been led down this path from Eric, I believe, and my spirit guides, and there's an amazing network called the Lighter Network or something like that, and I'll be talking about that in a couple of videos from now. I really, really am in love with all of the videos on this kind of network of videos or something like that. It's just been so much help and clearing of what I thought I knew and what actually is what I believe in now, if that makes sense. So, bye!